Yes, hello everybody.
Can you hear us now? Hello.
Yes.
Hi everybody.
How's everybody doing
How's
tonight?
everybody doing?
We were just kind of miming out words there for you, just so you could kind of guess what we were saying, that kind of deal. Welcome everybody. Back once again. It's been a couple of weeks. This is Pam and David with Conversations. We are happy to be with you. Once again, have you here with us. See a couple people beginning to come on. So wave at us, say hello, get involved. Hey, it's our program, right? So come on and get involved with it. It is a Saturday night, end of August, and quite a bit's been going on.
A lot.
You know, the one thing about doing every other week is that you always have more stuff to catch up on after 2 weeks. So,
exactly.
It's an interesting thing. But next week we'll actually be gone as well. Next week we are traveling.
Yes.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Driving though, just
yes,
not flying or anything like that.
I think we need that break.
Getting away a little bit.
Yes.
It's been it's the end of the summer, and a lot of things have been going on,
Yes.
as have continued to be for the past 18 months or so now. But it just continues on, and so we're taking a little break next week. We won't be here on Saturday, of course. We'll be here on Sunday, but you know, we're here with you right now. So welcome everybody. I want you to say hello to somebody, send to somebody, share to somebody, tell them to join us tonight for conversation. So. How you been? What's going on? What's happening?
Oh, what's going
I like
on?
the yellow,
What's
by the way.
happening? Thank you.
Nice, very nice.
Thank you. I like your shirt
matches
too.
yellow and orange. There we go.
do. Yes, we
All
blend.
right. And brown hair.
Yes, we complement each
Look
other.
at that. It's perfect. So what's been going on? What's happening with you?
What's happening with me?
Yeah, what's happening?
A lot is happening with me.
Always a lot is happening. Yeah.
Different, you know, little projects and planning, you know, some things for later, getting prepared. Got my hands in a lot.
Always something going on. Right?
Always.
Absolutely. That's,
I don't tell all.
It's the life we live, right?
That's the life we live.
Had an interesting meeting today with some of our pastors in Kenya. And I'm tired. Talking to them for like 5 hours today. But everything went well. So excited for them and the things that are happening over there. Praying that God is going to do what he needs to do there. And speaking of there, you know, we got stuff going on here too, as they do as well. One thing that is universal right now is coronavirus.
Yes, it is.
Coronavirus is everywhere.
Global.
The world.
Yes.
Absolutely. Some areas more impacted than others. Certainly there has been an impact here in the United States, which goes up and goes down, and we just can't seem to escape it. It's kind of like we can't get out of our own way.
Yes.
You know, and so we find now again that the rates here of coronavirus here in the United States are once again on the rise. We have kind of switched directions again, and so here we go, up the chain again. Things are headed up. And this goes back as far as April, but you can see, you know, we had gotten to a point where it was down to relatively very small amounts.
Yes.
This is across the country. And now, once again, we're back into these areas. In the worst of times around January, I believe we were at 200,000 cases a day. And you can see we're almost back to that again, which is not good. And you're hearing reports all over the place about hospitals that are overrun. There's just too many people, especially in some areas of the South, where things have really, really ramped up.
Yes, we're heading back to the same place that we were in before.
It's a sad,
after we have made so much progress.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of factors I think that do it, but just to kind of compare, this is here in New York because it really is everywhere right now across the country. But this is just for relative standpoint. This is where we are in New York State right now, around 4,000 cases a day. The places where it's the worst are places like Florida and Texas. 20,000 cases a day in Florida, where they have had such a battle for masks or not wearing masks, especially with the kids going back to school now. They don't want to make certain things mandatory. People have not wanted to get vaccinated. And so you can see relatively it's one of the highest in the country. Texas is another one of the areas that is amongst the highest in the country as well, almost 20,000. And so there are areas, in particular these areas, that are really suffering with trying to handle all of this. And it has an impact.
It does.
So you have a combination of people who still haven't gotten vaccinated.
Exactly.
Some have decided, you know, maybe we should get vaccinated after all. So, you know, you can see that the rates have started to go up compared to where they were. This is back when, you know, at the beginning of the year, there's vaccinations all over the place. This is across Texas in particular. Let's do the whole United States. So, the rates were up and then they came down, and people said, I don't need to get vaccinated. Everybody else is. We're good.
Exactly.
Right? And or the people that decided early they wanted to be vaccinated were vaccinated. And so you got about 60% or so of the country that did get vaccinated, and then it stopped. But now you see it went down to about 500,000 people a day. Now it's up to close to 1 million. So it's increased a lot, but there's a couple different reasons. One is for people getting their second shot still. And now the boosters.
Yes.
Right? Now that really hasn't kicked in yet. But what has kicked in now is the mandatory issues. Now that Pfizer has been made accepted in full,
That's
by the
right.
FDA,
Yes.
now the mandatory issues are starting to kick in, and we knew this would happen. Hello to you, Libby. Just want to acknowledge that.
Hi.
But we had said that this was going to happen. First, they made it available. It got a plethora of vaccine. Everybody should take it. Yay, yay, yay. And first people took it, and then it slowed down, and then they said, well, we'll give you incentives to take it. Look, we're going to do a lotto for $1 million. We're going to give you $20 a shot. They did all these things to incentivize people, and they got a little bit further. But then, as you got through, it really happened from the older down.
Exactly.
The majority of the older people said, give me the shot.
Yes, exactly.
I'm
the
taking the
elderly.
shot,
Exactly.
Because y'all ain't killing me.
Exactly.
At home.
And also the elderly, they remember having vaccinations for other infectious diseases. They've been through it. So they were willing to take the vaccine. However, now...
Then you got past them to the adults,
right.
us, the adults who said, okay, some of us, about 2/3 or so, said, yeah, we'll take it. And now you get to those young teenagers.
Yes.
And they like, look, we're going to live forever.
Exactly. Rebellious.
Yeah, we're just going to get a cold.
Yes,
and
they think they're invincible.
Right. And
yes.
so it started dropping down dramatically. And so they went from incentivizing it to saying, okay, well, they went the opposite side of incentivizing it. If you get the vaccine, first of all, you can go to the baseball games. You can go to wrestling matches. You can do all this stuff. But you got to show that you got the vaccine. Now they move past that to saying, if you cannot get it, but if you don't get it, you're going to have to be tested. This is on your job. This is in different ways. If you don't get it, you don't have to. But if you got to get it, your life's going to be miserable.
Exactly.
Because you got to be tested once or twice a week, and you got to go through all this and blah, 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 blah,
right.
blah. And make it harder and harder. And now that the FDA has approved it in full, now they're moving to absolute mandatory.
Yes.
So mandatory in schools.
Yes.
Lots of workplaces are making it mandatory, and people are like,
we figured that.
Well, you knew that was inevitable.
We knew that was inevitable.
Right.
We knew that was that was coming.
Yep.
But now also the children. Now the children are being affected.
Well, they're being impacted for sure because of the fact. Hello, Kizzy. Glad to see you on as well.
Hi, Kizzy.
Curtis.
How are you?
And Jacqueline Smith just joined. Hello.
Hi,
Haven't
Jacqueline.
seen you yet, but see you join. So there's here you in this situation now where we're back to school. Or pretty much back to school. Most of the country is. Our kids here are going back another week or so.
Exactly. In the South, they are already in progress.
And, the kids don't have access to having the vaccine yet. And now you've got all kind of intimidation because you have parents that are sending their kids and they don't care. You got other parents that want to send their kids and they are absolutely scared to death of their kids getting infected from other kids.
Exactly. Now, is it true that under a certain age that they are not to get
right now it hasn't been
vaccine?
I think it's from 12 and up.
Yes.
12 and under.
12 and under,
they
exactly.
They have not received access yet. I think they approved it for 12 and the 12 to 16 group, and there's already 17 and up.
Right.
So 12 and up, that's like 6th grade and up, are allowed to take it, but under that they're not. So think about all the child cares. Think about basically elementary school up to 6th grade. They have no vaccines.
Right.
And so they're just as exposed as they were a year ago, except that now you have a virus that is more aggressive and perhaps more dangerous, more contagious.
The Delta variant.
Right.
Yes.
So now, and I'll come back to that, but now you have, your kids going back to school, not even in the situation they were in last year, but in an even worse, dangerous situation, both for them catching it, both of them becoming seriously sick from it, and of course bringing it home.
Right? Yes.
And so it goes on and on and on. The problem you have with this virus and a virus like this is if you don't ever actually eliminate it, it just continues to grow and expand and change and get worse and worse.
Right, it becomes stronger.
Right.
Yes.
The biggest concern, and I hate to put this out there, is not even right now the Delta variant. It's the Gamma variant. What's the Gamma variant? Gamma variant hasn't happened yet.
Oh, so we're gambling.
Well, Gamma will be next.
Delta,
Gamma.
Oh my goodness, exactly.
One,
Delta,
right?
Gamma, yeah.
So the issue is not even this. I mean, this is bad enough. The problem is because we don't stop it here, because we didn't stop it before, inevitably there's going to be another one, and that's going to be worse than the one we're dealing with now.
Right.
So if we keep fooling around, quote unquote, and not really getting rid of this one out of the system, we're going to give it enough time inevitably to form an even more dangerous variant. And you don't know when vaccines and things like that have already been made will no longer be effective against it.
Yes.
Because as they change, vaccines work by imitating certain specific characteristics of the virus. If the virus keeps changing, then sooner or later you run the risk of the thing that the virus imitated has now changed. And so then it no longer is effective because this is something completely different again now.
Right.
So that's the concern. If we don't deal with this, then inevitably you get something that's even more dangerous and even more worse. And, there's a lot of differences right now. So you look, and I actually meant to go back and study more the swine flu that came 100 years ago.
Right.
And that lasted, by the way, I believe 2 to 3 years, if I remember correctly. And again, it was going from person to person. It was similar to this in that it was killing off people, making many people very sick. And they didn't have this kind of vaccine available. So what happened then? Because there was no vaccine to constrain it, it inevitably had to spread through the entire population until there was no one else to spread through. And so it died out naturally because of the fact that sooner or later it ran out of people, ran out of hosts, right? But that's the hard way to do it.
Yes, it is.
Right? If you're going to wait for the entire population to actually become contagious with it, then you're risking all those people getting deadly sick or dying.
Yes.
Right? If you do that, and so the idea of the virus is to minimize candidates by safely protecting them, the vaccine, by safely protecting them versus having them be exposed. But again, if you let a new one come out, you start all over again.
All over.
And the whole population is now subject again to getting a whole new virus.
Yes.
So, we in trying to prevent and slow it down, because we're not doing it as a whole, what we're actually doing is causing ourselves the danger of having to run this whole gambit over and over again. So it's crazy. It's like
it really is.
Supposedly smarter that we get, the more problems we have. And the biggest problem is not that this doesn't work. It's just that we won't do it all together. Dr. Land, good evening, Dr. Land.
Hi, Dr. Land.
Joining us as well. So, this is the danger of this. It goes on and on and on. And if we don't really prevent it, like we've had a, really minimize it in certain areas, even as it is now. But you have other areas, as we've shown, that where it's still rampant. It's still going on. There's still so much happening and so much danger happening that if Texas is a blow up state for the virus, and the virus is still, maybe it's not in New York, maybe it's not in the Northeast, but it continues to go and spread wild in Texas, then inevitably that virus is going to change. Worse than that, it's not even just about us.
Right.
Because it's globally.
Right. That's right. Global. Yes.
And so if you get rid of it in one country and another country, and now the problem is that you didn't have 100 years ago, is that, travel amongst our world is so rampant.
Exactly.
People are moving. You didn't have people 100 years ago flying around and stuff like this from country to country.
You weren't as diverse in certain areas as we are
right now. You couldn't move. You weren't as mobile.
Exactly.
And so if it got in an area, it could deal with that whole area and then die out, right? But now it gets in one area, people run away from it. They take it with them to another area, spreads it there. That's what we saw at the beginning of this. It went from China to Europe to the United States in a matter of 6 weeks, something like that, 8 weeks. So it can move incredibly fast. And so as a result of that, That's the danger. If we stamp it out in the United States, and this Delta actually started in India. So the original one was in China. The Delta variant came from India. Prior to that, there was another one from the United Kingdom, from Europe that came, and then Delta came from India. It spread through Europe into the United States, and also into Africa, across the entire world.
Yes, it did.
So Gamma shows up somewhere, right?
Delta,
Y'all heard it first. Gamma. The Gamma variant. There'll be another one. There inevitably, if we don't stomp this out, there inevitably will be a new variant. And as soon as we think we got this under control, a new one shows up and starts spreading again. And it goes to people who are openly available. And we start the whole cycle over again.
All over.
So that's
all over again.
It's one of these situations that tests us, because it says if you will not work together, you will not win.
That's right.
Now that is a test that we are not doing well at, right?
Exactly.
If we will not work on this together, we will not be successful.
Exactly.
And it seems like we just don't have it in us.
No, we want to do our own thing the way that we want to do it. We don't want to follow the rules.
It's so independent.
Yes.
That we just don't know how to say, yes, we all, the Bible tells us that strength comes from unity.
Yes.
And we just can't do that.
Can't get it right.
We're so divided.
Independent.
We claim rights to be independent, but there are times when there's some problems that if we don't work on together, they're just not going to get solved. And that's kind of where we sit in the middle of this. It's a test to us, it's a test to the nation, it's a test to the world. Can we truly segregate those things that divide us and say, look, this is a worldwide problem?
Exactly.
Now, I'm pausing because having said that, from a spiritual perspective, it's that same mindset that ultimately is going to cause the end time tribulation. And so, on the one hand, I'm saying this is what we really need to do. This is the logical thing to do. On the other hand, it plays right into what's going to happen in the end times, because it's that kind of response ultimately, because of the desperation of the situations, that's going to cause the world to try and work as one against all the things that are going to be happening. So I do understand and relate to people saying, I don't want to get involved in that world system stuff.
Well,
right? Because no, that's Antichrist. I'm telling you this, I'm hoping that by the time we get to that stuff, we will be gone. That's my plan. I'm looking for the Lord to take us out of here before all that happens. But, if you watch the series we did months ago about end times, what we said is that this is a continuing progressive situation that will ultimately lead to what we see in the end times.
Yes.
Hopefully we'll be gone by then.
Yes.
So that is my hope and prayer. Please, hope you'll be with me, right? But the thing is, in the meantime, there is a reality here that we are in a situation that we are all in together. We're still here.
Together. That's right.
And if we resist and fight and hide, it's not going to resolve the situation. That's a lot to chew.
It is.
That's a lot to think about.
It's a lot to think, right?
So, I would love to hear what you guys think about this, because this is kind of where we sit, especially as Christians, between the two ends of this. We're stuck kind of between, right? Do we come together on this, or do we stand and say, no, we don't want to be a part of what the government is doing? Obviously, some people are highly suspicious all the time of what the government is doing.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
Because we all know they be doing stuff, right?
Right.
Ain't no question of that. They be doing stuff, right? They don't tell us everything that's going on.
Your reputation precedes you.
Right?
Yes.
So it's understandable that, we have a lot of precaution surrounding anything the government comes up with. At the same time, there is some things that are logical and right. And, unless they cross the borders of the Bible, then hey, that's what we're doing. Hello, Andrea. Welcome. Glad to have you join us.
Hi, Andrea.
Let me say, united we stand, divided we fall. That's very true. Very true. Government, Andrea is already in it. She's already in the conversation. Government absolutely be doing too much.
They be doing too much. Man, I agree.
Oh Lord, they had their times.
That's why people don't trust them right now.
It's hard to trust. Right?
Yes.
Because of all the things that go on behind. There's so many things we don't know. And even with the press, the press pushes stories that they think are going to draw the right attention.
Yes.
Right? They push stories that may be along their agenda, They may push stories that they think is going to draw ratings, but they push stories and give examples that are in their interest to do. So you can't really trust them either, because they present a perspective that is in their own interest.
Exactly.
You know, it used to be, remember the Walter Cronkite days? You remember Walter Cronkite?
I remember Reasoner.
Harry Reasoner?
Harry Reasoner.
Yeah, I think Harry was after Walter. Walter's back in the 60s. Walter was like when President John F. Kennedy died and Martin Luther King. But Walter Cronkite was considered to be kind of the standard of news. Okay. Because, you know, back in those days, they reported the news and they took a lot of pride. Andrea said, that's right. They took a lot of pride of telling the stories, but not being the stories. And so they were looking to report on the things that were happening out there to give people a clear understanding of this is what's happening. Now we get a filtered understanding.
Exactly.
You know, all of a sudden, this is the important thing. Like we were just talking, remember, a couple weeks ago about the fact, when was the last time you heard a report about a police shooting of a black person?
We have not heard that. I'm not saying that's not happening.
Not saying it's not happening.
But
we haven't heard one in weeks.
We're not hearing much about it anymore.
Why is that?
And I think it's due to the media. It's because people have made so much noise and have brought so much attention to it, and that the police departments in various cities and various states are standing up and they're saying, hey, that's not our policy.
Right.
They're not standing behind what these police officers are doing.
Right.
So we're not hearing much about it anymore. I think because we are now living in the age of informational science. We can find out information so quickly, and we can spread it quickly. So they're not doing it. We're not talking about it.
But I think the main reason is because they found something more interesting to talk about. Just as an example, how many people are being killed in local communities by gunshots right now, every day? Here in Rochester, in Chicago, in nearly every major city, people are shooting and stabbing people more and frequently now than ever before.
One another.
Right.
As well.
But the point is, you're not hearing anything about that. Why is that not a story that's being pushed? Hey, look at all the people that are being killed. Right. I mean, right here in Rochester, you know, I have on the Ring system, they have a neighborhood set connection thing where they show reports every day.
Yes.
Right around our church.
Yes, exactly.
And on Dewey, somebody's getting shot, somebody's getting stabbed every day.
Every day.
And you're barely hearing it right now on the news, especially the national news, right? In Chicago, the rate in Chicago is about 3 times the rate here in Rochester of people getting shot, killed, murdered on a daily basis, gang violence, etc. Why is this not a huge story? Because it is not of interest right now to the news. The news media is all in on what's happening with President Biden in Afghanistan.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about that too.
Yes.
The news is all in terms of what's happening with coronavirus. And so the push in the reports, and now they're to the personal stories. Tyrone, my brother.
Hey, Tyrone, how are you?
The news is into the push of what they feel draws attention, draws ratings, and also the things that, you know, they have an agenda that they're trying to push. So the news right now is aligned with the government to try and push for people to get vaccinated.
Right.
So all the stories that you see are emphasizing, somebody's in the hospital saying, man, I wish I had gotten vaccinated. I changed my mind. I have a change of heart.
Yes.
These are the one-on-one stories that you're hearing on the news right now. Not so-and-so just got so-and-so got killed downtown, or another person got stabbed and shot. You're hearing, man, the virus. And, you know, I didn't want to have it. I didn't get it, but now I got it.
I saw one person,
other person the other day coming out of the hospital. Yeah, I'm getting the virus before I go back home.
Getting the vaccine. Yes.
You know, so the news media is tilted and biased in what they show, which makes it even more problematic. And even though we get things on the internet, don't think that that's not filtered either. Right?
Oh yeah.
So, you know, here's the thing, you know, it's difficult right now for people to have trust. And as a result of that, you constantly have this, hesitation, question, doubt. And then, people have to hear from sources that they can trust. And then they still got to think about it, right?
Yeah.
Because people are like, it's changed. So, and people that are kind of out there, kind of in between, which is typically the way it is, right? The middle of the road folks. I don't know who to believe. Should I get this virus? Should I not get it? Is it going to kill me?
Should I get the vaccine?
Do I get a vaccine? I'm sorry, I keep saying that. Too many V's. Should is it going to give me a computer chip? Is it gonna,
right, we've heard all of this.
Who am I supposed to believe?
All of these different conspiracy theories.
Who do I believe? Right. I don't know who to believe.
Who do I believe and what do I do?
Right.
Yeah.
And by the way, we need to get to this before we go. So the next big thing that's happening now is we're hearing about booster shots.
Yes.
Right? We're just getting people to agree to get the first shot.
Which one? And the second.
And the second shot. Now we're into booster shots. Here come the boosters are coming, right? And so they're saying now, and again, from a scientist perspective, I'm going to say it's logical, right?
Yes.
I'm ready. I'm like, look, we're supposed to be traveling in the end of the year, first of the year. Before we go anywhere overseas, I'm ready. Bring it on. Bring on the booster.
There's been booster shots in the past.
For other things.
For other viruses.
And the scientists, the people I listen to are more so the scientists. Right? Because I have a tendency to believe that scientists have everybody has some element of bias.
Yes.
Even scientists. But the scientists have a tendency to go more by data than by just what thing that's trying to be pushed at the time. And the science is showing that booster shots are showing an increased efficacy to people. And again, you're not talking about one person now. You're talking about these being tested over hundreds and sometimes thousands of people. It makes sense. It is logical. Now, here's an interesting thing for those who got the Johnson & Johnson shot.
Yeah.
Because they just started doing the booster on the Johnson & Johnson shot. And they're saying that is bringing a result that's like 6 times to 9 times greater in terms of how much resistance it's giving you versus the original shot. Remember, the Johnson & Johnson shot is a single shot, right? And so, in essence, when you get a single booster of the Johnson & Johnson shot, you're getting 2x of what you started. Remember, the Pfizer and the Moderna are 2 shots to get to 100%. You take a booster, you're getting 1.5. You're getting 150%. You take an additional of the Johnson & Johnson, you're getting 200% of what you originally had. And so it makes sense, again, from the numbers that they're saying the J&J one, when you get a booster of that, you're getting way more additional protection versus with Moderna and Pfizer, you're getting significant additional protection. Yeah, you're getting twice as much. I'm surprised they didn't try making the booster shot be a half shot so that it's consistent with potency of the addition of the others. But for whatever reason,
like they did with the Pfizer.
You're getting one. You're getting two, and then you're getting +1, so you're getting 3. Here you're getting 1, and you're getting twice as much. So I'm surprised they didn't make it 1.5 to make it similar to getting 2 plus a third. But nevertheless, that's what they're trying to do. So one of the things that they have to do in that, and I'm assuming they do it, and I'm just going to say to people who've gotten J&J, you need to watch the data on this, because anytime they take something like this and they do tests and studies to try and tell you how much to take, they have to monitor how much you can take without it actually causing negative side effects. So they come up with dosage through testings, which is ultimately what they give you, the amount they give you at a given time. And that's tested because what they do is they take people who volunteer earlier on in the experience, and they give them things from 0, from a blank, all the way to some high level. They see what happens to people, and if it gets too high and it shows side effects, then they pull it back down and say, you can't give them any more than this. We don't know if they've done that yet with J&J. And the thing is, they're giving you 2x now versus 1.5. And J&J already had in its first rollout a very small amount relatively, but they had issues with people having blood issues.
Yes, blood clots
as a route of the J&J.
Yeah.
So now if they're going to give you a second and it's twice as much, I would be concerned that they may get even more problems with side effects with J&J. So I'm saying this to people, again, trying to give you the whole deal here. if I had the J&J shot, I would watch to see what kind of side effects do or do not show up from the booster. And that's going to take a little bit more time to happen. Just trying to help you out. In terms of the Pfizer and Moderna one, you're probably in a little bit better situation there because you're only getting 1.5%. So like I said, as far as I'm concerned, you know, the booster is supposed to be around 8 months. Makes sense to me. For us, 8 months be the end of the year. Before I go traveling places, I'm in for the booster. I'll take it. Not a problem. I'm volunteering. Right? Because I think it will be the best thing and the most helpful thing to do. If you're local and you're staying by yourself and you don't have a lot of intense virus activity in your area, maybe you can wait on the booster. But if you're going somewhere into a foreign area, out of your real natural area, if you're going to be traveling, I'm all in for getting the booster. And it's possible it could last longer than another 8 months or not. Everybody's learning as they go. So please don't fault or be mad at science for learning, because everybody's learning as they go. So, you know, in terms of the question of whether these are for children or not, time will tell. You know, they're doing that testing. More than likely, it will be for children. Hello, Heather. Hello, welcome.
Hi,
Paul
Heather.
Lawson is
Hi,
on.
Heather.
Hello, everybody. You know, we're into this coronavirus vaccine discussion, but you know, she waved. So you know, these are tough choices, tough decisions. I personally stand on the side of this science is the best thing for us at this time. And you know, we're encouraging everybody if we got to do it together. That's one of the biggest challenges. So I want to make sure that we switch gears a little bit, because we've been talking about this for a while, and I want to talk about the other major thing that's been going on over the past couple of weeks. This is something else. We missed last week, but all of us have heard about what's happening in Afghanistan.
What a mess.
And what a mess.
What a mess.
I mean, this is, you know, here you have something which seems like it's the right idea. Okay, let's get out. We're in the middle of a dispute between two factions in Afghanistan. We've been stuck there for 20 years. You realize, many people don't realize that Afghanistan has been America's longest war in history.
Yes, it is. Yes, it has.
For 20 years, we've been there since 9/11. And we have been, you know, first of all, attacking the Taliban and the others that are, you know, trying to do all kind of chaos and throughout the world. And then we weren't able to actually annihilate them. We were only able to hold them at bay.
Right.
So we got stuck in this stalemate after, you know, all this time. And I'd say at least the past few years of it, we've been like, well, what do we do? Right? Because we're holding them at bay to protect ourselves. We tried to build up the Afghanistan government and give them strength and soldiers, et cetera, so forth, to begin to be able to stand on their own against the Taliban. So you fight them so we can get out of the middle of this, right? Because this is really between y'all at this point. We did what we came to do. We got bin Laden, we got those that were attacking us. So this is no longer about us. We want to get out of the middle of it. That concept would seem to make a lot of sense, right?
It seems like it.
We're spending money, time, people dying over there, and it's not even our fight anymore.
Exactly.
And so the objective has been, and I want to make this clean. This has been on the books now for the past at least 3 presidents since Barack Obama, through President Trump, and now into Joe Biden, to say we need to get out. So that's the past 12 plus years that we've been saying we need to get out of here, but how do we get out? How do we get out of the middle of this? Okay, let's slowly back our way out. Let's slip our way out the back door. Let's support Afghanistan. Get them ready. Let's get them trained. Give them gear. Blah blah blah. The question has not been whether we need to get out. It's been when and how.
Exactly.
And so this has gone on and on. And when President Bush when President Trump, I even still have a hard time saying that. When President Trump was in office, he had initiated a plan to reduce the amount of soldiers there and to eventually get out. He was the one that set the date that we were supposed to get out by this year, around this time, September, around August, I think was the original plan. And maybe June was the original plan. So he was the one that initiated that plan, and then Joe Biden walks into that plan, right? So, and now he's stuck. And again, I'm not really trying to defend anybody here. I'm trying to really help set the full picture of what happened. He's stuck in this with commitments that have already been made, both to the Taliban, to the Afghani government. And by the way, they've pushed us, the Afghani government has pushed us out and in so many times on this song. They don't want us in there either. So everybody's like, get out. Yeah, you need to go. All right. And so Joe Biden comes into the situation, says, okay, we're going to go forward with this. It looks like it's going to be okay.
Right.
The Afghan government has 300,000 trained soldiers against, I think, something like maybe 30,000 Taliban soldiers hiding out in the field.
Right.
The Afghani government has all kind of sophisticated weaponry. They have tanks. They have helicopters. They've been trained. Sewage. They have all these things that they should be prepared. Everything. Yeah, they're prepared. So Joe Biden says, yep, let's do it. Let's get out. We have a timeline. We love it to be longer, but you know what? Of course, you have all kind of voices in the room, but the thing is, we're going to get out of the middle of this. You guys are ready. Take it. It's on you. They step out and they pull out, and as they start pulling out soldiers, the Taliban decides they're not waiting. They start coming in and they start taking over territories in rapid fashion.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, that 300,000 soldier army that the Afghan government had trained and armed decided they were not going to fight their own people. That's the bottom line. Now that's the bottom line of what happened. It's not like they lost the battle. They kept saying there's minimal casualties, nobody's dying out here. The Taliban are just coming out of their caves and they're going into areas and they're saying, hey, we're here, we're taking over.
Right.
And they said, okay, fine, it's yours. Take it, right? We give. Not because they could not fight, not because they weren't prepared to fight, but the bottom line is, and we've seen this throughout the Middle East, they do not want to fight their own people.
Right.
From country to country, from Taliban resistance to governments, they do not want to be in a position, and many times they hate each other. The original Iraq war was a religious war between two different factions of Islam, the Shiites and I forget the other one. But the original war was a battle between those different factions, and they fought each other, and they did serious damage to each other back in that time. But now these folks don't want to fight each other. And so they said, look, Taliban's coming in. We don't got any beef with the Taliban, so we're not going to fight you. Why are we going to kill our own people?
Right.
And so they let them come in. What was missed here was that understanding that even though the United States had helped prepare this government, this democratic government to stand, they were not going to fight to maintain it. It wasn't worth it to them to fight their own people.
Yeah.
And so the big miss to me here is the miss of understanding that reality, that regardless of whether they were prepared, they weren't going to fight. And this to me is a problem because U.S. intelligence should have known that these folks were not going to fight.
Right.
How they missed that.
Right.
That's the big deal to me, right? You know, they made all these plans for and around them, and yep, you're going to be able to do this, and here you go, and you train, and they stepped back, and they did not somehow they did not have the intelligence, or they ignored it, to understand that these people, when they saw these folks coming at them, even though they can fight, they're not going to do it.
They're not.
And so as a result of that, you get an absolute disaster.
Yep.
Because now you have people who were depending on that government to protect them in a democratic state, in a state where women had gained rights and were able to be educated and take on jobs and careers, in a state where people had freedom of religion. And here comes the Taliban, and the Shiite version of it is very, very, very harsh.
Yes, very.
And so now they're coming in and they're saying, look, we're taking over, and guess what? They're trying to be somewhat political about it. They're saying, okay, it's not going to be that bad.
Yeah.
Look, it's not going to be all that bad. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, we're Shiite. Yes, we believe these things, but, just work with us. We're going to work with you. We're going to be able to do some stuff, and, we're not going to do that. I'll tell you this. I can't show it. I cannot show this because it's absolutely horrific to see, and I can't validate it. But I did receive a video just this week, and I doesn't have a date stamp, so I can't show it. But it was a group of soldiers, which had a group of people on the ground, on their knees, with their hands behind their back, with their heads down. And there was no cover here. There's no blurring out. They literally shot them in the back of the head. one by one by one. About 25 men that they shot in the back of the head, and immediately they fall to the ground. You see them dead or dying immediately. And they didn't die immediately, they just shot them again. It was horrific to see. This was stated to be a video from what's happening to Christians in Afghanistan. So I partially believe it. I can't prove it. What things may or may not have happened yet are likely to happen as time goes on. Because part of the issue is the Taliban is one aspect of what's happening there. But actually what you have in Afghanistan is a cover for all kinds of people that want to do all kind of attacks against other people. You've heard this week the attack that took place at the airport was not by the Taliban. It was by a group called ISISK. And this is an example of ISISK.
ISISK.
It's a militant subgroup that exists in the midst of Afghanistan and other areas and underneath the Taliban. By the way, the Taliban doesn't even like ISISK. These groups don't get along. But it goes back to the same point. They will not fight each other. They consider themselves to be on the same side in terms of brotherhood. They may not necessarily agree. But this group is a radical group that will go forward and do attacks even regardless of all the... They're not worried about the politics of it. The Taliban have evolved to the fact where they're trying to make sure that they get acceptance and control of the government so they understand the politics of it. Groups like this don't care. And so they're living in the midst of and underneath what's happening in Afghanistan, and they are willing and ready to attack. So the attack that you saw at the airport, somebody blowing themselves up, these suicide bombers.
Bombs.
This is
Wow.
ISIS-K.
Yeah.
And ISIS-K, they're threatening more attacks. And now you have counterattacks that are taking place even right now in Afghanistan. If you've seen it on the news where the United States have had bombing missions, it's been against ISIS-K. And the Taliban are saying, hey, why are you doing that? Don't do that. Because again, they don't want to see anybody fighting their own people. Right. They may not agree with them. They may not even protect them, but they don't want to see anybody from outside. It's like somebody from outside coming and messing with your family.
Yeah, right.
Don't do that. We got problems going on of our own.
Do that. Yeah.
But you don't come in here starting stuff because you become the problem.
Right.
That's exactly what the United States is stuck in the middle of. And so now you end up with this disastrous situation. And now from a political standpoint, the president has to try and stand up there and say, no, I did the right thing. And yes, this guy. Look, the only complaint that I have is that they missed the reality that these people would not fight their own people. And how they missed that with all the intelligence we're supposed to have, all the undercovers, all the people that we have that are buried up in the middle of all these things going on. That's what I don't get. That's what I think was the big miss of the government on this, or they heard it and they just did not accept it. So now, as a result of this, Taliban moves in, and all that military strength, all those helicopters, all those machine guns, all those tanks, guess who they belong to now? They belong to the Taliban.
That's right.
So you have now fully armed the Taliban to do battle in their country. Wow. It's an absolute disaster.
It is. It's a mess.
So there's no way. I'm sorry, President Biden. I'm sorry to everybody. There's no way you can sit back and say this is a good thing, or this is okay, or this was inevitable. This is a major mistake, error in judgment that took place, and it's going to cost. It's costing lives. It's going to cost lives. Can everybody get out between now and Tuesday? Not likely. Not very likely at all. There was a picture I saw earlier. Now, we're not the only ones there. You have other countries that have people getting their people out. So Spain just completed their mission of getting all their people out. You've got Britain, which is going in trying to get all their people out. It is a mad rat race trying to get people out of there. And of course, you have Afghanistan people who supported the United States, trying to get them out. You have Afghanistans who just don't want to be there under this government. They're trying to get out. And so that's why it looks like it's so crazy happening there.
It is. Really crazy.
It's a hot mess of what you see. And here's one other question that's come up. This does not appear to be the first time something of this kind of crazy magnitude has happened. And so a lot of people are comparing what's happened now to what happened to the United States when they pulled out of Vietnam.
Okay.
Have anybody ever seen the place, what is it, Miss Saigon?
Yeah, yes.
The play Miss Saigon is about the United States troops in Vietnam. Mm-hmm. And one of the last features on the play is this big scene where a helicopter comes down on stage, mm-hmm. and somebody's on the roof of a building. The helicopter comes down and it takes the person and it lifts them up. That movie is about the United States escape or retreat out of Vietnam after the Vietnam War. And the same thing happened as the United States was leaving. All these others come rushing in, mm-hmm. to take over and take control. And the United States got, hey, we're done with this. We're out of it. Yeah. And so you leave all these other forces now to fight it out for control. Mm-hmm. We've seen this time and time again. I can't remember the guy who was over Iraq with the Iraq War. Somebody help me out, y'all. The one who was the president or the dictator over Iraq. When he died, when the United States went in, found him, and killed him, then you had this vacuum again, a power vacuum. And all these other people start running in to take control, right? And so there may not be Saddam Hussein. Thank you. Saddam Hussein. When the United States killed him, all of a sudden you had all these other factions that came and jumped into the power vacuum. Mm-hmm. So here's the same thing. The United States stepping out of the middle. I'm showing you a page. Sorry, that's our page. Mm-hmm. I'm going to show you that. So the United States steps out of the middle of this, and then in doing so, they leave another power vacuum, and the Taliban have rushed in. Wow. So it may be, here's a question. Is there a good way to end a war? Right? Is there really a good way?
How do you end it? Right.
I don't think we found it yet. So we've gone through this again and again and again, and we continue to find, when we try and step out of the middle of something, there's a power vacuum. So how do you transition that effectively? I think the United States made a great deal of effort to try and set this up so that a government would maintain and be stable even after they left.
Yeah.
I believe that they did everything from that vantage point, mm-hmm. that they could. But is there a good way to President Biden's point, is there a good way to step out of the middle of a war like this? Because you have become the dominant power that's keeping the peace.
Right. How do you step out of the mess like that?
Andrea is asking about us being a diplomatic peace for the world. We weren't always that way. In fact, back in the time of World War I, we did everything we could to stay out of the middle of these kind of things.
Right.
World War II, we were trying to stay out of the middle of it until we were attacked at Pearl Harbor. And that's what drew the United States into World War II, is the fact that there was a direct attack against us. Prior to that, the Europeans were begging us to come and help. If you don't help us, this Hitler person, he's not going to stop. When he's done with us, he's coming to you. It's a matter of time. We need your help. When we got hit by Pearl Harbor, that's when the United States said, you know what, we're getting involved. And so the point of the United States getting involved in these international issues right now, of late, these past 20 years and plus, have been to prevent attacks that inevitably would come against the United States, rather than waiting. But in 2001, 9/11, it was that attack that provoked us to say, we're getting involved. Mm-hmm. Right. Things had already been happening. Things happened under Clinton, but they happened outside of the United States.
Right.
They were happening in the United States embassies throughout the world. We did not jump into it until they attacked us in the United States.
Right.
And that's when we stepped in and said, look, but
we have to do something.
Here's the thing, you have this sequence of events. It's cause and effect, right?
Yes.
And we haven't figured out how to step in something, but then be able to get back out of it.
It's like you stepped in it now.
Yeah, you stepped
in
it, right?
You stepped in it. How do you get out of it?
So, I can't give you an answer of exactly what to do, but I think we do want to see the different perspectives of this. There's both sides to this, in that, yes, there are reasons why we get into these things, and there are long-term impacts sometimes that you have to pay, both in being in it and then getting out of it.
Right.
So I don't have a perfect answer to this at all. You got a lot more smarter people than me trying to figure this out.
You got people that are in it trying to figure it out.
This is their job,
and they haven't done that yet.
They haven't been able to do it well.
Not.
But this is a terrible situation that's going on. Could it have been foreseen? Could it have been changed? I don't know. The truth of the matter is we don't sit in the rooms and hear the reports and know everything. This, again, we don't know what they did know or didn't. They might have been able to predict already that this is going to happen, but we got to do it.
Right.
Right? Because they're looking at the worst of case scenarios. Right? So if we do leave, then you got this problem. If we don't leave, then we got another problem, which is the worst of these scenarios. And they have to make a choice and a decision. I'm glad it's not me. That's all I can say.
Yeah,
these
really.
are very difficult decisions.
Very difficult decisions. And what happens is that one president just takes on the problems of the next president.
And from a political standpoint,
just continues.
Nobody wants to get stuck with the hot potato.
Well, they all have right. They have the hot potato and they want to pass it and then blame the burn
somebody else
on someone else.
And so the political environment says somebody's got to take the fall. There's something must have been wrong.
So now also I understand that they are discussing impeaching Biden.
Oh, that's how the politics. Right?
That's politics. That's the Republicans, of course.
It's Republicans.
That's the Republicans
versus the Democrats.
There you go.
Because both sides will do the same thing to each other,
exactly,
and then complain about what the other side does.
Exactly.
Both of them do the same. It's the politics of it.
That's right.
Over the top of the whole deal that we're dealing with. So that's why it's so hard to make good decisions and right decisions, because the politics of it will burn you for making a good decision, right? For making a right decision. You'll get burned. People are going to complain regardless of what you do.
No matter what you do, people are going to complain. They're going to find an issue or a problem.
So I saw a headline. I don't know if I can find it right now, but I don't think I can find it that quick. But I did see a headline where someone was showing the fact that, how this now may impact Biden's midterm elections. It always goes back.
It goes right back.
To the vote and who's going to be in power.
Exactly.
And we know that, everything is right on the fringe right now between the Republicans and the Democrats and the Senate and the House. Everybody wants to use anything against you.
Right.
And so, again, not only are they making decisions about what's right, but they're making decisions about how do we keep in power.
Right.
We don't want to make a decision that's going to cause us to lose.
It's about power, exactly.
In the next election,
it's about power.
They got to think about all that stuff,
right?
When they're making all these calls. It's crazy. It's crazy. So look. I wouldn't want to be in the middle of all that.
Exactly.
Right?
No.
I wouldn't want to be in the middle of all that.
The Democrats and the Republicans. It's all about who do you like. And who do you not like?
Who do you trust?
Right? And no one's to be trusted.
Nobody's to trust. And we sit on the sidelines and we're all like, these folks are crazy.
Exactly.
This is crazy. Exactly. What's everybody doing? Why are we doing this? Why is this going on? We don't have all the information.
Yes, but then also I understand that the people that they are bringing over from Afghanistan to the United States, they're going to have to house them and put them someplace.
Absolutely.
And I understand that it's going to be Rochester and Syracuse and Buffalo.
People that have...
And it has happened before.
Well, we've had all kind of immigrants that have come in. Yes, we have
immigrants, exactly. We took in the Sudanese.
Right?
Yes,
we've taken in people from Liberia. We've taken in people from many places.
Exactly.
This has been a place that has been even people from Mexico.
Exactly.
This has been a place amongst places that's very friendly to accepting immigrants. And so they are actually placed throughout the country. Some are in the south, some in the north. They're all over the country. There are areas that will accept in different people, and it does have an impact to our culture and our environment. It makes it more and more of a mixed culture.
Right.
Could it bring some challenges and issues?
Of
when
course.
we had things going on a few years ago, and you had all the different attacks that were going on, you had attacks here in the United States, in Rochester as well.
Oh yeah.
Because you have people that are spread. You have people that are sliding and sneaking in. Getting on these planes that could be terrorists as well.
Yes, exactly.
That's one of the reasons they can't fill these planes so fast, because they got to vet everybody that's coming on the plane.
Exactly. Yes.
So it's a chaotic situation that inevitably brings in all kind of issues. So these are the things that are going on. Our time is approaching the top of the hour, but these are two of the major things happening. We talked about coronavirus, talking about boosters. We're going to be talking about boosters a lot more because of the fact that it's going to be coming up on 8 months, I think, in September for people who got it in January. And so now that they're starting to authorize this, you're going to be hearing about people getting booster shots, and then you're going to start eventually seeing some of the data in terms of the impact of that. I expect, again, personally, without having all that data, that it's going to be the right thing to do, particularly on the Moderna and Pfizer side. The Johnson & Johnson side, I'm just saying, I think you need to watch because, they're giving you twice as much with that second shot. Whether that's too much, whether that causes more problems, I think we'll see over time. Just saying. And then, what's happening here with Afghanistan and all these things, again, more to come. So we'll have more to talk about the next time we get together. We will not be here next week, either Wednesday or Saturday. We won't be here because we are going to be traveling next week a little bit, trying to get a little recovery from the craziness that's going on. I'll tell you, listen, my blood pressure went way up this week. Too much going on.
Yes.
Lots of things happening. It's been a very hectic time. So I'm just telling you, we're taking a few days off. Well, a lot to do. What can I say?
Yes.
Somebody got to do it.
Yes.
So we're taking a few days off next week. But we will be back for next Sunday. And of course, tomorrow we'll be here at 11:30 a.m. on our Facebook live stream. We'll be back again to share with you more. And we hope that you'll be there to join us as well. If you're here in Rochester, you can come to the church. We are still we come back to wearing masks again. But we are in the church. God has been blessing. I got something I want to share with you from the book of Psalms again. I think it's going to be a real blessing to you. So if you can't get to the church, get that anointing that's at the church, join us online. I believe that you're going to be blessed tomorrow, 11:30 a.m. So God bless everybody.
Yes, we will enjoy our time off, Libby. We need it.
We're not going far, but we're going a little bit away.
But we're going.
And I'm shutting off all the work stuff for a few days. So.
That's right.
Oh, thank God. Unfortunately, it looks like it's going to rain the whole time, but we're going to make
That's okay. We're going to make the best of it.
Stay inside.
We're going to stay inside and chill.
All right, everybody. Y'all have a good evening. We'll look forward to seeing you again next time. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Wave at us. Say goodbye.
Hey, bye,
See
everyone.
you tomorrow.
Have a good evening.
Bye-bye.